here's your wrestling news for March 9th, 2023, and we're kicking off today with AEW as Wardlow has had a mixed week to say the very least. We reported yesterday that the AEW wrestler was the victim of a robbery and that the thief stole his gear and the TNT Championship, and things have gotten worse for Mr. Mayhem. Despite the theft, Wardlow made it to this week's Dynamite to defend the TNT Championship against Powerhouse Hobbs and wrestled in his street clothes for the match. As for the title, AEW used a replica championship for the bout, and the match was made a Falls Count Anywhere match at Wardlow's request. Wardlow had Hobbs locked in for a powerbomb symphony until QT Marshall showed up to cause a distraction. And after a steel chair and a low blow to Wardlow, Marshall and Hobbs laid him out with a double powerbomb on a wooden platform. With Wardlow unable to make the 10 count, Powerhouse Hobbs is our new AEW TNT champion in what has been a very rough week for Wardlow. AEW has a brand new TNT champion, but that's not the only championship change that was confirmed on this week's Dynamite. During the broadcast, Tony Khan appeared to reveal that Orange Cassidy will defend his All-Atlantic title against Jeff Jarrett next Wednesday on Dynamite, but the winner of that match won't be the All-Atlantic champion. Instead, the winner of that match will be declared the AEW International Champion, and Khan noted that it makes sense given that this title is the one AEW championship that has been defended internationally. Orange Cassidy successfully defended his title against Jay Lethal in the opening match of AEW Dynamite, and time will tell who is crowned the first AEW International Champion next week. More championship news now, as AEW has introduced a lot of gold in recent years, with the TBS Championship, Trios titles, and All-Atlantic Championship all being debuted in 2022 alone. Some have argued that between AEW's growing collection of titles, as well as the ROH gold we see defended, that Tony Khan has too many championships already, but could more be in the works? Yesterday, AEW honored its women's division for International Women's Day, and Saraya responded, saying that the perfect way to celebrate would be for AEW to introduce women's tag team championships. This isn't the first time Saraya has shown interest in tag wrestling, as she told Forbes last December that there is space of an AEW women's tag team division, as well as an all-female show. For years, one of the biggest issues fans have had with AEW is the promotion's treatment of women's wrestlers, and Tony Khan has done himself no favors, openly admitting that he didn't give Thunder Rosa's injury announcement a long segment because, unlike CM Punk's injury, he didn't think fans would be interested. Ultimately, it will be Khan's decision as to whether Saraya's idea becomes a reality. And do you think AEW should introduce women's tag titles? Or are there enough belts as there is? As we all know, professional wrestling isn't what you'd call entirely legitimate, as the matches are predetermined and the wrestlers in the ring know who will be winning. While those in WWE know the results, the fans don't, and this week, the promotion began the process of legalizing betting on their scripted bouts. According to a recent CNBC story, WWE is in discussion with gaming regulators in Colorado and Michigan and hopes to get the approval for legalized betting on the matches. In an effort to persuade regulators that there is no risk of scripted match results leaking to the public, WWE has hired the accounting firm Ernst & Young to protect scripted match results, the same firm which has been tasked with keeping Emmy and Oscar winners confidential in the past. WWE executives used betting on the Academy Awards as a model to persuade authorities that wagering on scripted fights is secure, and if this is approved, it would make a serious change as to how WWE storylines are put together. WWE executives suggested that scripted outcomes of matches would be locked in months in advance so that E&Y would have plenty of time to keep the results secret from the public. In fact, under this idea, the results would be kept so confidential that the wrestlers themselves would not be aware of the winner until just before the match, which would make it more difficult for superstars to put a match together. One example WWE gave was that fans could bet on the WrestleMania main event months in advance, as typically, the company knows who will be standing tall in April, not long after the Royal Rumble. If WWE's efforts are successful, then it could pave the way for other closely guarded secrets in scripted entertainment to be bet on, such as a character's death on a TV show. WWE is always looking for new ways to add to their revenue, and while they have been able to strike deals with the likes of DraftKings and FanDuel in the past, this proposal would make betting on WWE much easier and much more lucrative for Vince McMahon. Back to AEW, and at Revolution, MJF threw a drink of tequila into the face of a young fan, which many believe went too far even for him. That child and their guardian were said to be incredibly upset at what happened and were given merchandise, free tickets, and the chance to meet the wrestlers backstage to smooth things over. One person who spent much of his career as a dastardly heel is Ric Flair, but on his To Be the Man podcast, the Nature Boy believed MJF went too far. It's cheap heat. You want to do something to get heat and get the people excited that won't hurt anybody? You cut yourself so deep that when you swing your hair, you throw blood all over them. I used to do it all the time when I had long hair. Then they feel like they're part of the action. I'm totally against throwing anything on a kid. Flair went on to say that something like this definitely wouldn't fly in WWE, which MJF should keep in mind if he wants to end up there after his AEW contract expires. MJF's devotion to his character has made him one of the most popular heels in wrestling today, but many believe a line was crossed at Revolution. And do you think the devil went too far? Sound off in the comments. During this week's Raw, Logan Paul challenged Seth Rollins to a match at WrestleMania 39, and that match has since been made official. Paul and Rollins have been at odds ever since the Royal Rumble, and this week, Paul let some big news slip on his Impulsive podcast. Speaking on his show, Paul accidentally let slip that the match will be taking place on night 1 of WrestleMania, April 1st, saying that it's wild that the match will happen on his birthday. Logan Paul will be turning 28 on the same day that he faces Seth Rollins, but the architect is planning on ruining the birthday boy's big day on night 1 of WrestleMania. And we're ending today with WWE, as right now all eyes are on WrestleMania 39, but the company is already making plans for the premium live event after the Showcase of the Immortals. In a press release this week, WWE confirmed that their next major event after WrestleMania will be Backlash. Just Backlash, which has ditched the WrestleMania term. This isn't the only big announcement, as the May 6th event will take place in Puerto Rico and will be hosted by none other than Bad Bunny. The show will mark the WWE's first premium live event in Puerto Rico since January 2005, where Triple H ended New Year's Revolution as the new World Heavyweight Champion, winning the 3rd Elimination Chamber match. The Game won't be competing this year, but he will be running the show backstage, and we'll have to see what matches are in store for Backlash in Puerto Rico.